right, so it seems people are still rolling in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you all and welcome to episode 6 of our virtual series at ReviewTrackers. I'm Mary Francis and I'm the Partnership Marketing Coordinator here. And today we have guest speaker Andrew Ibbotson, who is the General Manager at NRC Health, and he'll be discussing reputation management best practices for telehealth medicine. Just a reminder for everyone who's registered and attended, we will be following up afterwards to all registrants with a recording of this webinar. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, thank you for hosting today. Excited to talk about this topic. It's obviously very timely with everything that's happened over the past 2 or 3 months. We've seen a huge increase in the adoption of telehealth services across the health systems that we partner with. A lot of them are reporting a 600 to 800% increase in usage of telehealth services and virtual visits. And what we're going to be talking about today is a new best practice that's being rapidly adopted across the country by health systems to help drive awareness and demand for these telehealth offerings that they're scaling up. Before I get into that, just quick background. So I run the Transparency and Reputation Management Division for NRC Health, as well as the Atlanta office. NRC is a 38-year-old publicly traded healthcare technology company. We work with over 11,000 hospitals and health systems across the country. My team that specifically works around publishing star ratings and monitoring reviews across the web, we work with 250 of the largest health systems for that solution. But what I'm going to be talking about today is how organizations are taking the patient experience survey data that they're already collecting and putting it on their website, specifically on pages that promote their telehealth services in order to drive more search traffic to those pages and more patients into those services. These are a few of the 250 health systems that we work with. So you can see organizations of all shapes and sizes across the continuum. And what we started out doing 5 years ago with these organizations and our transparency solution is what you see here, taking the patient satisfaction survey data that most of these hospitals are federally mandated to collect and converting that into verified ratings and reviews that we automatically publish to their physician profile pages, as well as clinic, location, department, service line, specialty pages on their website. One of the key benefits of that is the search engine optimization value of turning patients into content writers for your website. Essentially, we're able to publish unique, recent, relevant content from patients across hundreds of pages on the health system's website on a daily and weekly basis. And there's arguably nothing more relevant for a patient looking for a new doctor than feedback from other patients who just saw that doctor. So this example you're seeing here is an example of one of Innova's primary care clinics in Annandale, Virginia, and a non-branded Google search. So if I just moved to Northern Virginia to Annandale, I need a primary care doctor. I don't know Innova or MedStar or any other health system in the area, and I just do a Google search for primary care near Annandale. Innova's primary care clinic page comes up #1 in search with these star ratings. This is something they've been doing now for probably 3 years with us. And the reason it's so effective from an SEO perspective is for the reasons I previously mentioned. This is completely unique content captured after each visit through patient satisfaction survey. It's coming in daily, and it's highly relevant to consumers who are searching for doctors. And so when you click on that link, it takes you to the page for Innova's Annandale Primary Care Clinic, and you can see what Innova has done is they've added information about their virtual visits prominently on all of their clinic pages. So they're leveraging success they've already had publishing aggregate ratings for their clinics to drive traffic to these pages, and now making it easy for anyone who is looking for primary care in any of the markets where they have a clinic to learn about the virtual visits they're offering, sign up for a virtual visit, and if they're unsure about the quality of care they might receive, they can read reviews and see ratings from over 1,700 patients who have seen a primary care doctor at this clinic and taken a patient satisfaction survey. And so very compelling. This is kind of what started this new best practice, is organizations like Inova who are already publishing first-party ratings and reviews on clinic pages, taking advantage of that to promote their new telehealth offerings over the past several months. Organizations are now taking it a step further. This is a group in Nebraska, Ortho Nebraska, a large physician group, who 2 months ago launched telehealth specific surveys after each virtual visit. And over the past 2 months, they've already collected feedback from over 800 patients who have had a virtual visit and taken a quick survey at the end of that visit. And those 800 patients have rated their experience 4.8 out of 5. So the Inova example was all surveys that they were already collecting, leveraging that data to drive traffic to clinic pages and then promoting their virtual services on those existing clinic pages. This is really the new best practice that takes it one step further, is collecting telehealth specific feedback either through a telehealth survey at the end of a telehealth visit or by adding a telehealth question. How was your experience during today's virtual visit, in with an existing survey that's being administered after those care experiences, and using our technology to automatically stream those to a virtual care page where you can learn about these new telehealth services are being scaled up and read the experiences of all of the patients who've just had a telehealth visit over the past few months. So that's really the high level concept that I wanted to talk about. And we have a poll question that I think should be coming live if it isn't already, asking, who's currently doing telehealth visits, and if you're doing telehealth visits, are you capturing feedback at the end of that visit or after the visit that could potentially be leveraged in this capacity. So with that, I'll take a quick pause and open it up, see if there are any questions. Would be happy to dive deeper on this topic, talk about the details of how the program works, how these ratings and reviews can be added to your website, how you get the star ratings to show up in Google search. So I'll stop talking for a minute and see what questions you guys have. And maybe everyone's busy taking the poll. But essentially the way the program works is you have a visit, whether it's in person or virtual, and then the patient receives an automated survey, either via email, text message, or an IVR, interactive voice response phone call, asking about their experience. And as those surveys are completed, we run them through our transparency solution and convert the answers to the quantitative questions into numerical ratings on a 1 to 5 star scale. And then all of the comments that come in through those surveys get reviewed to make sure they don't contain PHI, profanity, libelous, or defamatory content. And all of the comments that don't meet those exclusion criteria are automatically published alongside the ratings on the organization's website. Do we have any questions?
Right. So we do have one question that just came through. Let's see. Is there an advantage to showing specific reviews on the page as opposed to just showing the star ratings and number of reviews underneath the link for a virtual visit?
Yes, so most of the organizations we partner with to publish verified first-party ratings and reviews publish both the star rating and the comments. Some also publish question-specific ratings. The value of publishing the comments is the additional SEO benefit you get of all of these comments being indexed by Google. And the reality is a patient who's searching for a new doctor is going to be using a lot of the same terminology and words as that patient who just had an experience, that was searching for a doctor 2 weeks ago. And so by streaming all of those comments talking about the experience, what they were seen for, all of those keywords getting indexed by Google provides a lot of SEO value, especially for non-branded searches where folks are talking about specific conditions, procedures, and treatments that they were in for. So I would say from an SEO perspective, probably 40% of the SEO value comes from having the schema.org markup that gets these rich snippet star ratings to show up in Google search results. Just getting these gold stars to show in Google search results drives on average 150% increase in click-through rate. I would say about 60% of the value comes from having hundreds of these comments indexed and all of those keywords present on the page.
Great. All right, we have another question that just came through. We have several providers who want to encourage patients to review them on sites like Healthgrades, WebMD, etc. How can we explain the value of the ratings on our own site versus these other sites when it comes to SEO?
Yeah, that's a great question. So putting the verified first-party reviews on your own site is a brand-first approach that is going to drive more traffic directly to you versus to a Healthgrades or a Vitals where all of your competitors are also advertised and listed. So we recommend doing both. Our platform really does three things from a transparency and reputation management perspective. One is taking the survey data and putting it on your own website like you see here in this Ortho Nebraska example. The other thing we do is we make it easy for the health systems we work with to monitor the reviews that are being left across the web on Google, Facebook, Healthgrade, Vitals, RateMDs, WebMD, etc. And then the third thing we do is we are the only vendor in the healthcare industry that can generate more third-party reviews at the end of an actual patient experience survey. So instead of taking a survey from the hospital and just seeing the thank you screen, thanks for sharing your feedback, what we do is on that thank you screen, we say, thanks for taking the time to share your feedback. Would you mind clicking on one of these three links to share this review, share your feedback on Google, Healthgrades, Vitals, WebMD, wherever that physician or clinic could use additional reviews. And so you really want to have a comprehensive approach of putting your brand first, driving as much traffic as possible directly to your site by taking the data you're already collecting it and putting it on your site for the SEO value that we've talked about. You also want to know what's being said about you across the web and respond to those reviews in a timely manner to let patients know you're listening. But what we find is if you're not actively soliciting third-party reviews, the national average for online reviews for doctors and hospitals is a 3.8. If you start actively soliciting reviews or making it easy for patients to click and leave a review on Google or Healthgrades or Vitals or wherever, very quickly, by turning all of those happy patients into promoters, we see reviews in less than 6 months move from a 3.8 average online to a 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 average, much closer to the star ratings we see coming through the hundreds of thousands of patient experience surveys we collect each year.
That's great. All right,
So you should be
another
doing both,
question.
is the answer.
True. All right. Can you talk about how to pitch the published ratings and reviews to provider teams, how to manage their fear of low ratings and negative comments?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's usually sells itself to physicians once they see how good the feedback is. Most physicians that practice at a health system or a reputable physician group, most of their patients are pretty happy. Unfortunately, it's the unhappy patients who are more motivated to go online and complain after a bad experience. If you just had a perfectly good visit, you didn't have to wait long, chances are you walk out and you move on with your day. And even if you have the good intention of leaving a review, it's just too much of a hassle to remember to go find that physician on a third-party site, figure out how to leave a review. There's too much friction. And so one of the best ways we sell physicians on the concept of publishing the first party ratings is by showing them, here's what patients see today when they Google you. And chances are they'll have less than 10 reviews on any third party site, and the average will be around a 3.8, which is a full point lower than most physicians see through their patient satisfaction surveys that are being collected. And so when you show them, hey, over the last 12 months, you had 212 patients rate you 4.7 out of 5 through your surveys, this is going to help paint a more accurate picture of patient satisfaction by publishing this online. The occasional negative review that comes through will be put in the context of all of this other very positive feedback that's being collected. Very quickly, they realize that this is something that's going to help protect their reputation, help grow their reputation, help promote the great work that they're doing versus something punitive. And then if we're able to get them more Google and Health Grades and Vitals reviews at the end of that survey, then it's going to make them even happier. But the current state of online reviews, most physicians, when they Google themselves today, are not happy. They see a handful of reviews that skew negative. There's no minimum N size for these websites. We recommend not publishing reviews, verified reviews for a physician until you have a minimum of 30 completed surveys, because that way it's statistically relevant, stable, representative, and that occasional 1 or 2 star review that may come in isn't going to crush your reputation. But sites like Health Grades and Vitals don't have a minimum. There are lots of doctors that have 1 star review on Health Grades, and they've been practicing for 20 years. Just nobody's gone online to review them except 1 or 2 unhappy patients. So
That's true. That's true. All right. Stakeholders at my organization are concerned that patients will experience survey fatigue if they receive a survey from us and a Press Ganey survey. What would you say to them to explain why surveys, review solicitation requests are important and valuable?
So that's exactly why our smart request capability, as we call it, has been so successful. Is NRC Health is one of the 2 largest patient satisfaction survey vendors. So Press Ganey and NRC control 95% of the market. And so probably 50 of the large health systems we work with, we're ingesting Press Ganey survey data and converting that into star ratings and reviews to put on their website. We're survey vendor agnostic with our transparency solution, but Press Ganey and other vendors don't have the ability to get you more Google reviews or Vitals or Facebook reviews at the end of a Press Ganey survey. So that's where if you survey using our real-time survey platform and you monitor with us, we're able to get you more third-party reviews as part of that same one survey outreach. And so it eliminates survey fatigue. And that's why the results are so impressive and the conversion rates are so high, because you're not having to hit the patient with a second outreach and a second email or a text message asking for a Google review after they've already completed the hospital patient satisfaction survey. It's all in one.
And going off of that, we have another question. In your experience, what is the best number of questions to include for a post-visit survey?
Yeah, so NRC helped pioneer the original CAP survey. And as you guys are painfully aware, those surveys were typically 30 to 40 questions long. Some specialty hospitals and groups would have surveys that were 50 to 80 questions long, and there's a huge abandonment rate. Completion rates have slowly been dropping off down to the low teens. And so what we promote is, as a best practice, is a real-time survey sent right after the visit through email, text, or interactive phone call. And we recommend 9 questions or less. So most organizations that have adopted or are moving to this approach will ask a Net Promoter Score question, a few doctor-specific questions, maybe 1 or 2 questions about the staff, the nursing, the office. But we recommend 9 questions or less. Every question after that, you see a material drop off in response rate and completion rate. So shorter surveys, more responses. And how we're making up for the richness is of the feedback. The reason organizations ended up with 80 question surveys is they wanted to ask a question about everything they were concerned about or wanted to measure and improve. Now with natural language processing technology, we're able to ask fewer questions, just the most important questions that correlate most highly with a positive patient experience. And we use natural language processing and text analytics to pull out all of the other themes that patients talk about when they leave a comment. And one of the interesting things is, as we moved from a 30-question survey to 9 questions or less, we found that the comments got longer and richer. With the 30-question survey, there was an average of 1.2 themes being talked about per comment. So the comments were short and there weren't very many of them. Now we're seeing 2 or 3 times the number of comments being left, and the average number of themes per comment is between 3 and 4. So there's much richer comments and feedback that we can programmatically analyze to help make that actionable.
Definitely. All right. Oh, can you show what the third-party review link looks like? Can the patient just cut and paste what they wrote on our survey into the health grades or vitals, etc.? What does that look like for the user? Can you share data on what % of patients do click through to leave a third-party review after completing the NRC one? I don't know if we're able to do that, but Andy?
Yeah, I am actually pulling up a different presentation to show what that looks like. And here it is. Let me share my screen again. So it's customizable, the text that is displayed, but we list up to 3 third-party sites. So if you just want to get more Google reviews, you can just configure it to serve up the Google link. We found that we get the best conversion rate when you offer up to 3 options, and you don't see it here, but we do actually show the comment that was written, so you can just copy and paste into Google or Healthgrades or Vitals, so you don't have to retype the comment. And a lot of those sites don't require a comment, so you can just click 4 or 5 stars, hit submit. But this is conceptually what it looks like is thank you. Please help share your experience with others and give the patient up to 3 choices to click on, and they can copy and paste the comment they already wrote. And in terms of conversion rates, we're seeing conversion rates in the low to mid 20%, which is pretty good. So 1 out of 5 patients is clicking to leave a third-party review. And when you only have 8 or 10 on Google or Healthgrades or any one individual site, it doesn't take many conversions to have a material impact on the rating and the N size on that third-party site. And that's why within 3 to 6 months, we see such dramatic improvement, because it only takes a few conversions of the hundreds of patients you're seeing every month to move the needle on those third-party sites.
Agreed. All right. Does something like a small pop-up on the bottom corner of the screen work if I wanted to show off specific reviews, or is it better to just have it directly on the page?
The challenge with the pop-up, it can get people's attention more than just having them on page, but you would need to make sure that the code for that pop-up gets indexed by Google. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a lot of the SEO value of having that content on page with the appropriate schema.org markup. So you can use the rich snippet testing tool from Google and either just paste in the URL or copy the rendered HTML into the testing tool to make sure that the schema is being indexed and recognized as valid by Google so that you get the full SEO benefit. But you can put the ratings and comments anywhere. They can be styled and placed to match the look and feel of your site and easily embeddable within a pop-up. You just want to make sure that that's going to get indexed so you get the search benefit of that, of having that on your site.
Yes, that's true. All right. What are the typical questions asked for a virtual care specific survey?
So usually the questions people are asking revolve around the care experience you had with the doctor. So it's still based on the 6 provider communication questions from the CAP survey in large measure. So everyone's asking an overall rate. How would you rate your experience on a 0 to 10 or 1 to 5 star scale? And then, you know, did the physician listen to you? Did they explain things clearly? Did they treat you with respect? Did you understand their instructions? Things like that. So it's about, the questions tend to be about the communication and the experience you had with the physician. And then often there's a question about, you know, how easy was it to schedule your appointment? Would you recommend a virtual visit to friends and family? So trying to keep it pretty short. So some folks are doing telehealth specific surveys. Other organizations are just adding one overall rate question or would recommend question about their telehealth experience to an existing survey.
All right. Well,
And really,
if anyone has any,
what you want is an overall rate or would recommend, so you can calculate a numerical star rating and the comment. Those are what are going to get you the most value from publishing and SEO perspective. Any other questions you ask are gravy. You can choose to publish question-specific ratings if you want, or you can just use those for internal feedback and improvement.
sounds good. All right, I'll leave it open for any more questions that people might want to submit before we begin to wrap up. Andy, do you have anything to add to anything? Feel free.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I just had this quick summary slide. We've talked, beat the SEO thing dead. But, getting those star ratings to show up in search is going to drive more awareness for the pages where you're promoting your telehealth services. And then if you have a way to capture that demand where they can actually schedule the appointment on page, that's how you're going to drive the most conversions and demand. And even, as physician groups and health systems start to reopen their ambulatory clinics, this is just highlighting the importance of SEO for your own site and the ability for patients to schedule an appointment, hold their place in line for an urgent care clinic, appointment scheduling, whether it's for a virtual or in-person visit, is another area where we're seeing finally more attention and investment in order to capture that demand. So
Great. All right, so we'll stick around for a couple more seconds to see if we have any final questions, but thank you all for submitting the questions you had. They were really great. Love seeing the interaction and the interest.
yeah, and hope everyone has a great 4th of July weekend.
Great, safe 4th of July too.
Yep.
All right, we do have one comment. Thanks for the great info. So we did well.
Hope it was helpful. I know my wife and son have already had 3 virtual visits in the last couple of months, and it's been a very positive experience. So I think it's here to stay. All the efforts that have gone into scaling up those services, I don't think we're going back anytime soon. I know my son had an issue, 7-minute appointment, and 20 minutes later he had a prescription ready for pickup. My wife thought it was the greatest thing ever. First time she'd finally done a virtual visit, and she wants all of her visits to be virtual going forward if she can.
I agree. My family is actually in Northern Virginia and have switched to virtual visits. They love it. I don't know if they're doing the surveys, but word of mouth has been fantastic so far.
Well, the publishing the survey feedback is virtual word of mouth, right? So
Definitely.
great. Well, thanks everyone, and thank you guys for hosting.
All right, thank you all for attending. Again, you'll be receiving an email for follow-up with the recording. Have a great day.